Hey, Neil McDonald here. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, but I'm also founder of CallPlan.AI, and that's what I'm here to give you an update today. For those of you following along, I'm basically building in public. It's a thing we founders do sometimes, and I really like the whole idea of it because I'm able to share what I've been developing with CallPlan.AI, and so that's what this video is an update on. If that's what interests you, then stick around for the video update. Okay, just to remind everybody, even remind myself a little bit, just CallPlan.AI is a product, a SaaS product, so software as a service product on the web that I'm offering out to my subscribers. That's a spinoff of what I've been doing for 20 plus years of my career and what I've been teaching for the last 8 years on how do you have success in the government market. In particular, how do you start and build relationships? Because relationships are the foundation of hearing about opportunities and to be able to shape opportunities and really in any sales market, but in particular the federal market. Having relationships allows you to hear about opportunities, helps you shape those opportunities. And so CallPlan.AI is about how do you do that tactically as a process, right? As a skill. I heard somebody say recently, they asked me, is it true that success in the federal market is who you know, and it's about the relationships? And that's a loaded question because yes, of course, success will be increased if you have relationships. Strategic relationships are even better. But the reality is you can start with nothing. That's the whole idea, is if you have a skill set or follow a process, and let's say it's related to starting and building relationships, and you want to get into the Army and you've never been there before, well, literally there's a process you can follow to get in there so that you can start becoming aware of people who are in there, starting to build relationships, et cetera. Anyway, so that's the idea of CallPlan, is to really, for me to provide a tool set in there that allows people to accelerate their success in starting and building relationships. The other thing about CallPlan.AI that I really like, and I'm just going to keep doing, is I meet every single day at 3 o'clock with the subscribers, and they come in, and it's awesome for two reasons. One is I get to give just really good advice to like one person, for example, that everybody who's in that call that day is benefiting from hearing about, like, how would I sit there and tactically go in? The other thing is, as a builder, and coming back to today's update, I get to watch how they're using my tool and understanding where I might have built in friction. For example, if they're trying to get something done and I've got something in there that I think is good or necessary, et cetera, but it slows them down from actually getting to the end, getting to the really where they need to go, which is successful meetings. I can see that. I can also see where they might have questions, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I can just add something more. So let me give you a quick update on what I have. I'm not sharing my screen, but I am looking at, for my subscribers, I give them a page where they can go in and see everything I've been doing and everything I plan on doing in the near term. So I call this my product backlog page, but really more than just a backlog. It actually has here's what I got done. And I try to throw a date on there. It helps the subscribers see what's changed since the last time they checked in. But I can't remember, I should have done this beforehand. I can't remember where I was at on with what I had shown, but I want to just talk about some things. One of the things I noticed, and I hadn't done this in the beginning, was on my dashboard. First off, I have a dashboard, and that's where your call plans are set. And they were just kind of thrown on there based on when somebody put the call plan together. And, it took somebody just telling me, how about we have the ability to sort by ascending? That means my next meeting is at the top. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. So I did that pretty fast. And then I expanded it to say, okay, well, in fact, this weekend, and today is like the 16th of August. So now I'll expand it, and I'll actually put a couple of filters at the top of the dashboard that just enable them to sort on anything that's reasonable in there. And then the second thing is, again, this is feedback I just got from somebody else, because I built a minimal viable product, a good basic product coming out. And then I just told myself, I'm going to build this with everybody. Anyways, the next thing on that dashboard that I put in place was just a simple separation of past meetings and upcoming meetings. And so that was just an easy thing, but it's really cool to see when something is so basic, but it helps you. That's the part I'm trying to build into here. I do not like lots of features. I'm an anti-feature kind of a guy. I hated all these fancy sales tools that I've used in my career, Microsoft Dynamics, HubSpot, big CRM tools. they have too much in there and it's overwhelming to the average salesperson. And so I like stuff that is just enough that moves it forward. And in this particular case on the dashboard, well, now it says upcoming meetings and past meetings, right? It's not rocket science. But now when a meeting is passed, it goes down to the past meetings, and it allows people to separate it out. And then another update that related to that is little simple things that just, I'm so excited I get subscriber feedback. This is why I give them 90% off for life, is because they're going to help me build this into a really great tool for everybody, certainly in the federal market and perhaps beyond. But little things. For example, I had 3 icons over to the right of my dashboard title that were view the call plan, edit the call plan, and delete the call plan. And to me, I'm like, oh, it totally makes sense. Those icons right there. First thing I ran into is one of my friends who's a subscriber in there. He was like, dude, I can't even see. Like, they're too small. He's got bad eyes like I do. I was like, oh, so I just doubled the size of them. That's the fun part about being the developer and, the sales expert, if you will. And the second thing I noticed and I did was on the call plan, I was all dependent on these 3 icons over to the right. But he's like, why can't I just click on the title of the call plan and open it up in a view form? I was like, yeah, that's brilliant. It's like, again, it takes 2 seconds. I hear somebody saying, I'm like, oh yeah, let me go do that. So anyways, those are some of the updates on the dashboard that I was doing. I want to pause for a second because I got ahead of myself. Just giving an update for those of you who haven't really tracked on this. I think, and I've got to get the official dates locked down, but on June 21st is when I started building CallPlan.AI. And I gave myself 30 days. And so by July 20th, I stopped development. I said, whatever I can get done in those 30 days, plus I had my day job and all these other things I was doing. So literally, I probably built it in 60 hours inside of those 30 days. But then I said, I'm launching because there's this rule that says if you don't have paying customers, you don't have a company. That's an important thing to remember. You just have a hobby, right? And that could fall into place with us government contractors. If we're not bringing in money, we just have a hobby of learning all about the federal government. We need to go get money first. Anyway, so I was taking my own feedback there and applying it to myself. So July 21st, I launched a soft launch, just loosely telling people, hey, I'm going live, early launch, just to get some subscribers who can give me some feedback. And so since July 21st, I've pretty much grown 10 people a week, 10 people the first week, 20 people the second week. So that's 100% growth. And then I slowed down a little bit because I didn't tell anybody about anything because I ran into a couple of bugs I had to fix. And I had enough subscribers to kind of go, oh, let me fix some of the basics. And then in this past week I'm coming close to the 4th week, the end of the 4th week. And so I'm starting to pick back up now. And tomorrow, on the 19th, 16, 17, 18, I got to count my days. On Monday, the 18th, I'm actually going to put out a notice saying that, hey, we're at a really good state. I'm going to increase the price closer to where my ultimate end state is so they don't get 90% off, and encourage people to come in before I get rid of that activity. So I'm just talking to you about this from me building completely in public and being transparent with you. So anyways, that's kind of the timeline. It's pretty exciting for me. About a month to build the MVP and launch it, and then 4 weeks to watch and see how people are using it. It also enabled me throughout these 4 weeks to build up my backlog. And I've got, almost 200 things in my backlog. So there's a ton of stuff in there. There are ideas that I have, big ideas about overlays and AI and how it can help you in meetings and give you really good guidance, perhaps even in the meeting, but certainly before and after the meeting. So I have things like that, but I have a lot of stuff that came from customers. They want, for example, I'm not building a CRM. Somebody this past week, and I don't think I gave this update, I loved it because somebody this past week said, what are you building? I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean I'm building CallPlan? Right. And they're friendly to me. This is what I love about my early subscribers here, is that they all want to see me succeed, partly for me to be able to succeed and partly for them to be able to have a great tool that does their job. But he was really trying to push me to be able to help clarify for him and for others how they can suggest features that may or may not apply, making sure that it aligned to what did I want to build. And as I was talking to him, I was like, oh, and the reason this came about is because somebody asked for more functionality on what we call a CRM or a contact list within CallPlan.AI. The idea was that if you're meeting with people, I just wanted somewhere to store those contacts and maybe have a little bit of information. But by having this conversation with them, I said, oh, I am definitely not building a CRM. I'm not trying to compete with HubSpot or anybody else. And so if there's existing tools you want to integrate, fine. If you don't have anything, I'll build a little basic CRM. But what I am building is the best call plan or relationship builder SaaS product. If you come in and follow this, you will be able to have more relationships, and more relationships directly lead to your revenue, right? It'll lead to an increased revenue when you're meeting and talking and building relationships with the right people. So anyways, these are good kind of meetings. And through that, a lot of those early subscribers are giving me ideas about different things they want. So for example, in the CRM or the contact list, I really want a way to be able to communicate with other people. On the call plans, one of the features somebody asked for, and I love this idea anyways. I think I had a version of it in my backlog and then they expanded on it. But this ability to share a call plan. I'm working on a call plan. How can I share it with somebody else? Right? So if we're both going to go to the meeting, what if they're outside CallPlan.AI and they're not part of the subscription? So many people lock you in. I'm like, I don't care. Like here's a, in fact, what I'll probably do is, and I got to figure it out and build it, but I could see it pretty clearly in my mind, is that on a call plan down at the bottom, I'll just put something like collaborators as an example, and you can put in an email address. And if that email address aligns to a subscriber, then it shows up on their dashboard. If it doesn't, then it goes out to Molly. It says, hey, Molly, you're a collaborator on this call plan. Use this link, right? And so she'll have access to that link. And this is a great way for the person who's my subscriber who's doing it to be able to work with other people they're working with. So anyways, that's all exciting stuff for me as I move forward. Let me tell you about some of the other backlog stuff I've been doing. It's funny. I will tell you just one bug I had that's just driving me nuts. And I bet you this is a limitation that comes from my not really being a developer. I'm playing one on TV. What I am is a business expert. I've done development for sure, but I'm not a full-time developer kind of thing. And so I can do a lot in there. But this one particular bug, when you hover above a menu, I have a user menu. You hover above the little icon in the top right, and it shows this user menu. It's really cool. The problem is the user menu is about that tall, and the button's up here. But if my mouse is coming around here, for example, the minute it gets into this area where the menu might display, it automatically just shows up. And that is horrible because sometimes it shows up on top of like another link you're trying to get to, and the menu keeps showing up. And so that's a really big bug I'm going to try to tackle this weekend and solve. On the counter to that, I've got another menu that had a little drop down, but you hover above it and you go to, I didn't deploy this one. The other one I have deployed, and it's a known bug. This other one, it's not deployed yet, so it's not a bug until it's deployed. But this one here, it's a menu that's just on my top navigation, and it's actually going to be like a training menu. And so if you click on the training menu or you hover above it, you'll see different trainings on call planning that I do and I'm providing. Anyways, point is, when you go above the menu name, it opens up the menu. And if you try to click on the item within the menu disappears. You're like, So I have found that you can get to that item if you go really fast. But that's virtually, that is really the death of any SaaS product. If I make my customers have to do that, they'll get pissed off at the menu and just leave, right? So those kind of development bugs I'm dealing with. But those are minor. And the cool thing is this early subscribers I have are so supportive of the activity and the effort that I'm doing that, they're giving me a little leeway. So I'll be able to figure that out. But I'll give myself time this weekend. All right, a couple other things. I already talked about, I think, sorting, separating call plans. One thing I did across the board was tighten security. And it's funny, if you're a security person and you want to help me, right? I'd love to sit there and see how safe my product is from the outside, right? I'm in a world with all sorts of people who are cyber. I don't want you to kill me, but come in and give me a test. But I've gone in and begun to try to tighten wherever I can so far, to the point that it's really wide open for subscribers. They can do what they need to do, but it's zero trust. You get access to what you should have access to. So I was working on that. I'm going to keep working on that. Security is a high priority for me. I worked on a lot of little bugs that were more on the back end for me that I took care of. And the last thing, I can't remember if I said this in the last video, but the last thing I was kind of proud of that I built And it's just this little type of thing. But when you come to CallPlan.AI, if you are not a subscriber, well, I want you to see the video that I have there. And as I start to put testimonials and other things on that homepage, I want you to see them. But if you're an existing subscriber and you type in CallPlan.AI, I don't want you to have to go to the homepage and then click somewhere else. And so I created a redirect where if you're a subscriber, I find that out and instantly you land on your dashboard. So you're getting right to work. And to follow it one step forward, anywhere where I had the CallPlan logo after you were logged in, you could click it and it takes you to a kind of a duplicate homepage. Because sometimes as a user, when I'm using another product and they do something similar to that, I get that, I appreciate it, but I'm like, hey, I want to see what you're telling all those newbies who are coming in. Are you telling them something special, whatever? I just want to be aware of that homepage. And so I liked doing that kind of thing. It's a way to be convenient to the subscribers and then also redirect. So, okay, I think that's it for the update right now. I will say that as I move forward, I'll be looking at funding. I might have said this in the last video, but that is kind of my direction. I'm definitely going to be looking at key partnerships because everything I'm doing at CallPlan.AI aligns to the growth of other companies who are helping any government contractor move forward. And so this will be a good way for me to grow, is to team up with other particular groups. So that's a big thing. And then if I can get venture funding as I move forward, which I hope to do, it will allow me to accelerate a lot of my bigger vision for CallPlan.AI, especially really introducing AI into CallPlan.AI more than just right now. I've got a lot of good automation. I've got some basic stuff, but it's still not AI, right? AI to me is when it's thinking more than I'm thinking. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully I'm just a couple months away from that, but we'll see how that goes. That's my update for now. Feel free to shoot a question into the comments and I'll answer it. And wish me luck. I will talk to you soon.